Hello and welcome to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we got Ty, we got Jamison, and we're here to talk Bedlam directly with you. Whether you're listening live on Facebook, on Periscope, wherever we're streaming, welcome in, ask your questions, we will answer them. But if you're just listening like the normal people in podcast, hey, welcome in too. We're pumped to talk some OU football. So, obviously, massive game ahead of us with Bedlam. Biggest game of the season by far. But more than that, we got College Game Day in town. They're coming to our city for the first time since 2012. That's crazy. Last time they were there, me and Jamison, with two of our friends, one of them brought a Gumby suit. We were in high school. It's been a long time, folks. So, Ty, how pumped are you to have Game Day finally come to Norman?
Yeah, I'm excited. Just like you said, last time was in 2012. It was weird because Game Day came, and then both officially and legally speaking, nothing happened afterwards. We did not lose.
No, of course
legally
not.
speaking, nothing happened. But yeah, it's exciting. It's disappointing that it's during COVID time and we don't get the full experience, but it is it's a big thing for recruiting, and it's a big audience that we're going to reach and hopefully get to show the University of Oklahoma just the built environment of it and some of the highlight shots. It'll be cool to have a day sort of devoted to OU. So that's always exciting and great for recruiting and the visuals. I know Jamison knows more about that, but I think this will be one of the first times that we're showcasing our newly updated stadium on this level as well. So that's Absolutely. Really important.
Yeah. Jamison, how are you feeling on it?
Yeah, I think the big thing with it is we're going to get a lot of eyes on us when it comes down to College Game Day, the show before, just because they're going to have a lot more segments about us. And that's what's the cool thing. They're going to have specials on certain players on our team. They'll probably talk a lot about Spencer Rattler. And there's a lot of cool things to talk about with OSU too. I just came to this realization. I mean, we always talk about it, with our last game day with Notre Dame and everything. I think James Harden has to be traded now on Saturday with all of this knowledge. Look at this cross of just OU and Thunder, and it's happening all over. This is a cyclical world that we're going in.
Oh, my gosh. It's like the James Harden eclipse. Every time OU gets a game day, got to go.
Oh, Oklahoma sports is a flat circle.
Oh, my gosh. So before we dive into the actual talk about the game, we kind of thought it'd be a good idea. If you could put game day in one place on campus, where'd you put it? Ty, I'll let you go first on this one.
Right. So I think I know what the popular answer here is going to be. So I want to go with an answer that I personally have come up with and developed on my own. So where I would want to put it is, I don't even know the name of the building. It's the one that is north of the Union and next to the Visitors Center. So ideally what you have is if there's a big – it might be. No, because Carnegie's like the fine arts, I think.
It's like that big lawn kind of. Yeah, right?
There's a big Cherokee Gothic ornate 1800s building that looks like Evans and looks like the Biz and everything. There's the big lawn there. There's some beautiful trees. So you have game day set up. You have the cameras facing that with a beautiful Cherokee Gothic building in the background. And then also the stadium off to sort of the side. And then behind it, you have the entire lawn filled with people and then campus corner right there. So ideally the porch is like directly behind it, like the bar and all the bars down the main row. So you have this really cool sort of fusion between the tailgate atmosphere and the bars, and you're showcasing that, and then also campus and everything else. That I think is my second choice, but I think that's one that I've sort of come up with on my own that's going to be different from you guys. So That's where I would put it.
In a normal year, and make access from the bars to your camp out spot perfect. So that would be great. Jamison, your thoughts? Where would you stick it?
See, I was thinking just like on the spot. First inclination, I would want to go, put it at Kate and have the seed sower in the background, because I feel like that's just kind of like big time, like image when it comes down to Oklahoma. And since it doesn't matter really where like if there's not going to be fans around, it wouldn't matter. But there's so much traffic in that area that there's no way that would work. But I think that'd be cool. But that would have to be completely like, blocked off both sides of Lindsay.
Oh God, the rioting. The rioting would be just brutal. But hey, you could see all these freshmen just ignore the the red lights or the green lights, just walk across. So that could be fun. That'd be fun. I don't know. I've always kind of liked it, kind of by the stadium. I guess you could do it in not Heisman Park, but the little Coach Park, that little area. I don't know. It's tough. We don't really have a lot of space over there with all the Headington buildings, but whatever. Let's talk some football. Obviously, Oklahoma State, I believe, is one of the best teams of the Big 12. It's either them or Iowa State. I have to give it up to Iowa State. Played well, but OSU, as we've seen, when they don't make mistakes, they're a very capable football team with an explosive offense, an underrated defense, and they can flat out play. So, James, let's get down to it. What player or players on Oklahoma State are you most kind of nervous about OU defending entering Saturday's game?
Yeah, the most nervous I'd be is probably Tylan Wallace, and I mean that's just your easy pick. Anytime that we give them single coverage on, whether like it'd be a second and long or third and short or anything, they're going to take a shot with him because he's great at making acrobatic catches, catching the ball at the high point. That's just how he's going to do it. And we have Trey Brown, who's not been so well at that, even though he's done really well other than that kind of stuff, that I think that they're going to try to pick on him a little bit. But with the run game, I'm not too concerned about it with this offensive line, but I think the wide receiving core of OSU is probably the one to watch on their offense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely. Wallace is an incredible player. And that's a huge opportunity for them to really, take advantage of our kind of weak cornerback play in a way that, they do. Ty, who are you looking out for in this game?
Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna take a different angle, and unfortunately, I guess not unfortunately, I have to agree with Jamison here. We all know where I stand on Chuba Hubbard, just because I feel like that needs to be clarified in 2020. I have said that Chuba Hubbard's been overrated for years before it became like a political thing. He's just overrated flat out. And I want to hammer on that again because the RD line is very hot right now and very fresh too. That was something we touched on last week. So I don't expect us to really have issues against the run. We've been good against it schematically all year under Grinch, and we really started to put it together. And I've been very impressed with the linebacker play and then the D line, just the freshness and the sharpness. I really worry about the secondary. So I got to agree with Jamison. Tylan Wallace is really the big threat. I guess you could say Sanders, but I don't really believe that he's that great of a quarterback either. So
I think Tylan Wallace definitely covers up for a lot of Spencer Sanders' mistakes. Because that guy, we saw it against Texas, can really turn the ball over. Pretty difficult. He did the same thing against Tulsa for that matter. But that running game of Oklahoma State's, we've played really great against the run, but I don't think we've seen a running back tandem like LD Brown and Chuba Hubbard or a running back equivalent to them since Breece Hall, who we struggled with mightily. But Ronnie Perkins is going to be an absolute key part to that defense and really shutting down the run. I think he's going to help neutralize LD Brown a lot, who is more of a grounded pound type of guy, where Chuba is a little bit more out in space. So I think that's going to be the biggest question entering this game for OU is, how you can make OSU a one-dimensional team, make them throw the ball, and really shut it down. James, yeah. What do you think about OSU's running back tandem entering this game? Do you think Perkins has this, or do you think do you want to see more out of this OU team before you can make a decision on it?
They're going to have some plays where they're going to have some big yardage gains. They're going to do really well getting their 3 yards per carry, 3 or 4 yards every down, and we're going to have our plays where we stop them. The biggest thing with their run game is they would want to lean on it and then use the play action to open up, Schooner and Wallace. That's how they want to play. But you can't do that if we get out to a hot start. If we come out firing and we get them down early, therefore their run game is going to turn more one-dimensional and more predictable than anything. And that is the biggest thing with OSU. We've seen their offense, especially versus K-State the other week, how just blah it was. And it's all of the OSU writers and all the OSU fans are saying that offensive line is just miserable. And if that offensive line is that bad, we get up big, we force the pass, and we go against a guy like Spencer Sanders who's been having decision-making problems this year, like you said, we saw in Tulsa and Texas. That's a recipe for disaster for Oklahoma State. But if OSU gets control of the game, Spencer Sanders is very talented, and if he puts the correct brain on Saturday, I think that things could be really dicey for OU.
Absolutely, and this is where Alex Grinch needs to earn his paycheck. This is the type of game where chaos is king, where you really want to get in the backfield, cause mistakes, even if you're not causing sacks, turnovers every play. Just having a presence in the backfield, blowing up RPOs, it's crucial, especially for this OSU team that on the road, not exactly making, not a very tough time, a bit of a tough time on the road. Night game for the first time in Bedlam history somehow in Norman. This is where you make your money if you're speed D. So creating havoc, that's going to be very crucial. Ty, other than Perkins, who we talked about a little bit, who on the defense do you think is poised to have a massive game in Bedlam?
If you're going to ask Jamison the same question, or maybe I want to give a different answer. No, because I want to say Washington, our guy Washington, because we're really waiting on him. We know he's going to have that breakout moment, or we at least believe that he will. So it would be really cool to see in a rivalry game like this. Having previously called the Drake Stoops Bedlam, touchdown. So I am sort of a defending champion at picking who to watch out for. I just want to say, the linebackers as a whole. I really don't want to pick one specific person out. I think that defensively they're going to make the difference. So I know that doesn't directly answer your question, but that's what I would look out for as an OU fan.
I definitely agree that the linebacking core is crucial to this. And Grinch loves running stunts, running those linebackers and, really applying the pressure. I would love to see a great game out of Nick Bonito. I think he's gotten better as the season's progressed. And this could really be the time for him to shine, create some chaos. Jamison, like Ty said, he at least is great at predicting this podcast, because I'm going to ask you the same question. Who defensively is going to shine big in Bedlam?
Yeah, I think it's got to be somebody on the defensive line for me, because the offensive line problems are prominent with OSU. And Perkins and Bonito will have their times, but I think Perrion Winfrey is just going to beast this game. I think he might not have the great sack numbers that the other guys on the team may have, but I think he's going to have his way with the inside of OSU's offensive line, creating problems for Spencer Sanders, moving him outside of the pocket and getting him uncomfortable and allowing us to possibly get turnovers that way.
Absolutely. It's like we've all said, it's about blowing up that O-line, creating havoc. And that's OU's strength as a defense. Definitely not in the secondary. Linebackers, hey, you're fine, but chaos starts and ends at the line, affecting your will right there. And I think we'll see that. Let's move on to the offensive side of the ball, where they've been getting better week by week. We've seen it against subpar competition. Oklahoma State's defense is pretty good. They're a little bit better than you think, but this OU offense is poised to absolutely go off. Spencer Rattler, another big test for him. But yeah, I think it falls specifically on a different player. Ty, I think you know who I'm going to say here. How do you feel about Ramondre Stevenson against this Oklahoma State team?
Yeah, so I'm really glad you asked me about him specifically. So I think my take on the offense is I'm working from the assumption that I think is a reasonable assumption that Rattler is going to have not his best game, but a second half of the season average, if that makes sense. And if you follow, OU football or Rattler, that should make sense to you. I'm also going to work from the assumption that Stevenson is going to have a really good game. Nowhere near as good as his past two, because those were super easy opponents. From there, when it comes to the offense, I think the person that we really need to count on is going to be whoever that second running back is, because OSU is a team where we're going to need two running backs that are performing well, in my opinion. It's not going to be one where Stevenson has unlimited energy to just constantly pound. I think that we're going to need to work situations where Stevenson is playing to his strengths and not just all the time, like we've used him since he's been back. So that's kind of, again, not a direct answer to your question, but that's what I'm looking at specifically on the run game.
Yeah, for sure. Jamison, if you were Lincoln Riley, what would your percentages be on the run pass, kind of the run passing plays? Where are you setting it out here?
Well, I mean, you got to have it 50-50. Is that a bad answer? The big thing is with OSU. Actually, I'm going to completely take that back. If Lincoln Riley had his choice, so it'd be like 75-25. We get up early and we just run them into the dirt.
I'm just saying, you're offensive coordinator now. What's the strategy you would take?
I say you start the run early, you establish the run, and open up the pass. Putting the ball in Spencer's hands. Last time he started off a game that was a big rivalry game that had a lot of hype going into it. He didn't have a good start, and it's because even though we had a good run game that game, it was not where it is today. We've got to lean on the running backs more. We got to lean on more of our offensive line that's improved more, and then let Spencer come in and shine whenever things are a little bit more open for him.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely establishing that run, getting the pace, getting the jitters out of the way is going to be huge. And while I think, being steady, moving the ball down the field is definitely a good strategy, it's got to be noted that Oklahoma State is incredibly prone to big plays. If you look at their probably closest game against Iowa State, well, I mean, other than the one they lost to Texas, of course, it was all big plays. Breece Hall had a field day, a 60-yard touchdown. Wasn't even his longest run of the day. His longest was a 70-yard run. So there's a lot of opportunities here for OU's big play offense to take advantage of the moment. But I really think it's about, it's just test them, wear them out. And then when you're ready for it, you throw the home run ball to Mims or no, it's pretty much just Mims, but
I don't know if I agree with you there on the sort of the big play strategy. I think that this year it could be argued that OSU is the better team. I realize that OU is favored, obviously, but I think holistically, I think you could really make an argument that OSU is a better team on the field. I think we're way, way far better coached, but I think that the key to us winning is that run game. And I think stringing together drives that last several minutes and winning the time of possession significantly is going to be huge for us, because our defense is going to struggle and we need to give them that time to rest. And I think that if we could really lean on the offense in the run game to stretch out drives and resist that urge to take those, easy button quick shots, which I think we're going to have less opportunities to take anyways. And I'm not saying leave points out there on the field, but I think that time of possession, if I'm watching this game and if it's close, I really think that you're going to be able to predict who's going to win when you look at that time of possession.
I do agree. Not getting into a shootout is a good move. I don't think this should be that sort of circumstance, but the opportunities will be there, and I think you take them when you can. You don't try to just have Spencer Rattler bomb it like he did against Kansas State at times or Iowa State at times. But it's one of the it's like Jenga. You're kind of like poking it a little bit. You don't want to go for the big. You don't want to go for the big block, but you kind of have poke a couple, see if one comes loose, and then when the opportunity's there, you yank the thing. So,
yeah, see, that's the issue.
What the hell?
No, I agree.
It's about.
I agree with
You got to
the
probe the
strategy.
defense. You got to probe the defense. You got to see where they're weak, and then when you find it, you strike.
Because
Does that make
Lincoln
sense?
Riley sometimes strikes me as a Jenga player that's sitting there and he's poking around and he sees all the easy ones, and those are way too easy, and then he just tries to rip the whole what is it called? Like the tablecloth out from under it without dropping the whole thing. And Rattler's the same way. Rattler only wants to do the crazy, like karate chop out the bottom level or something.
Jamison, do you agree with our discussion on pace here? Pace versus explosion?
Oh yeah, I mean that would be great. I think this team this year it really hasn't shown that as much of the big play ability other than Mims. And that's just kind of a disappointment because especially with Rambo, and a lot of people thought that he could be a guy like that. So, yeah, that'd be great. And the way like I said, the way I want us to play this game is through Stevenson. And Stevenson is control the pace, just tire you down, just hit you over and over in the mouth until you can't take it anymore. The problem with it is this Oklahoma State front seven is really good. This is the best front seven we're going to face all year. And, the defensive line with, Antoine and then Trace Ford, out of Edmond. And then I'm really excited to say this name. I practiced it a little bit before. Their linebacker, Ogbong Bamiga.
Yep. Nailed it.
Yes, it's great. And it's great. And he's really, really good too. And then Calvin Bundage too, it's great on the pass rush. This is a really good front seven. The problem is Ramondre Stevenson's a grown man. I don't think it matters who he's going to go against. He's going to get his. So, yes, I would love to chip him away if we can. But it's going to be really hard to with that front seven. I think if we're going to win this game, I think the big plays and getting Spencer Rattler over the middle with, a guy like Theo Weiss breaking out. Is I feel like that's how we're going to blow this game open to therefore we can control on the defensive end and give them more of a pass rush rather than a conservative defense.
Yeah, I totally get that. So thinking about the bye week and a guy who could explode or go off, is there anyone we might get back that has been sitting out? I know people have been talking about Bridges. I don't know if he's nearing his return or not.
Hopefully for the secondary.
No, I don't know.
How long was the suspension anyway?
So it was as long as it, they said it was, half a season and he served that. But whatever it was in the appeal process or the getting back into it mode, something happened. And there's nobody who wants to say what happened. We assumed whenever there was some snag possibly coming up with Ronnie Perkins, whenever he traveled but then didn't play to Iowa State, what happened? Did he fail another drug test in the appeals process? Did Trajan Bridges do that? There's not a lot of reasons why you should be sitting out longer than his original suspension. That means you got in trouble again. And that there shouldn't be a penalty of just waiting. Obviously, he did something wrong.
Is it? Do we want to dive into speculation? Is it team internal potentially?
No,
it's
all NCAA.
The transfer portal at the end of the season.
I think any speculation is beyond us, honestly.
All right, I just wanted to throw it out there so I can reference this.
Well, yeah,
24-37.
I think we could just roll that conversation up and throw it away.
Yeah,
I'll just say one thing about this before we move on from it. Lincoln Riley compared Tylan Wallace to Trajan Bridges in his press conference this week. There's obviously a lot of respect there, and in the times Lincoln Riley has talked about it, it's obviously there's something that it's not within their control. There's something there, and we can speculate, but yeah, we don't know about that at all. But with guys coming back, probably the biggest. By far the biggest person that we're looking to come back is Braden Willis. This was his return time. And with Austin Stogner being, we don't know how well he's going to play. He's probably going to go out there, but is he 100%? That's Spencer Rattler's guy. That's his security blanket. If he doesn't have that, it's going to hurt a young guy in the Rattler. And Willis would be a great guy to go out there and play those snaps where Stogner wouldn't have to play as much.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Lincoln did mention today that he did say Spencer was 100%, but did not say the same for Stogner, who just frankly just gets the hell beat out of him all the time. So you're having a little relief there would be very nice. Very nice. So I think that's all we have to say about Bedlam. Any notes that we should be aware of? Special teams, I don't think is a huge issue, but
it is, though.
I mean, I guess it is.
It really is.
That's a good point. I mean, we've lost a game on special teams relatively recently, but I'm not worried about it for OU. I don't think. I know Oklahoma State did give up a massive kick return in that Texas game that turned the tide. So maybe there's a big play from Mims there waiting to happen. But in terms of OU, I don't think they'll give up too much. We've been pretty solid on special teams this year, save for a bad return in the Iowa State game. But I don't know. There's opportunity there.
Yeah, on special teams, one comment completely not related to Bedlam. Shout out to West Virginia for absolutely dominating on special teams this past weekend. I know I talked about that in our group text, but if you guys watched that West Virginia TCU game, it was just absolute. They got a turnover. They got a pick six on a kick return.
How does that even happen?
How does that even happen? So yeah, shout out to that. But yeah, I think we've wrapped Bedlam talk. Besides, check the weather before you go. It's going to be a difficult one to dress for if you're tailgating. It's going to be mid to low 70s during the day. So if you're going out to Campus Corner or something else, or any sort of tailgate before, take the precautions. Obviously, we're a anti-death podcast, but yeah, you're going to have to dress for warm weather if you're up and moving around. But that temperature is going to drop off in the evening, so be prepared. And maybe even some light sprinkles. I don't know. Check the weather. Check the weather and plan if you're going to the game.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gary England. Much appreciated.
Stop making the weather, man.
It's Bobby.
Again, weather's a factor, I guess.
Bobby, yeah. Is Oklahoma State going to be affected by the climate in Norman?
They are a little further north, so they can handle the cold. As we know, Stillwater is approximately like 80 miles north, so it is slightly colder there. And less trees, so the wind blows a little harder. But anyways, that's all we have for Bedlam. But as I understand it, I believe we have some Cruton Corner to get to.
Jamison.
Yes. What is this?
Jamison.
This is a
Cruton Corner with Jamison.
Everybody dancing. Oh, that's nice.
So there's not much going on right now, but Jordan Gilbert, the safety that I said to look after, that could be an OU commit anytime now. A guy that was going to be that replacement for Caleb Johnson. He did getting an LSU offer, something that we were really nervous about with him being from Baton Rouge. It was almost going to come because, his recruitment is just blowing up. A lot of people have been catching on to him late, and it's hard to compete with an LSU offer from Baton Rouge. But anything's possible, with the LSU scandal going on right now. You don't know how that's going to blow up and if that's going to affect recruiting at all. But looking at his profile, I have not seen anything announced. Maybe he said it somewhere I haven't seen, but he is committed to play in one of the All-American Bowls, and it looks like his commitment date is then. So we might have to wait a little while. I guess that would be January 2nd for him to commit. I don't know if we turn elsewhere or, find another prospect, whether that be JUCO or high school, for another D-back in this class. Looking at offers for the future will kind of dictate how we feel in this situation. But, other than that, looking at LSU and the scandal, maybe this helps for Tristan Lee and us. I still feel like Tristan Lee is pretty solid for OU moving forward. In December, an early signing period's coming up here, any time now. It's a month away. So things are going to pick up pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And, obviously nothing is good about what's going on in LSU allegedly. So that's horrible, but it is a factor to consider because if those things are true, we could be dealing with some sanctions on a pretty high level. And yeah, I would stay away from that if I were both Tristan Lee or a podcast producer, because it's a dicey topic. So anyways, well, that's all I got for this week's Schooner Pod. If you're listening to this live, up next, we're going right into the weekend spread to make our picks. But if you're not, we'll be back in a couple days to, on your podcast feeds, making our picks. So, Jamison and Ty, I will once again futilely ask you if there's anything you want to say before we leave.
Check the weather.
Jamison?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know what, folks? I tried.
Wait, I'm out. I actually have one more thing that we didn't touch on. Not.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. On behalf of me, Jamison and Ty, thank you so much for listening. And if you're listening live, we have a weekend spread coming up soon. So, till next week, Boomer Sooner. And here's some Gary Patterson.
Take a step back, take a look at your life, hug your children, kiss your wife, know your neighbor, leave the keys in your truck, do yourself a favor, try your luck. Take a step back, take a step back, take a step back, take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at, take a step back. Take a step back to the way it was when people were crazy. Love was enough. A little more old soul, a little more lay low. Give me just a little more of your heart. I said ready, set, start. Take a step back, take a step back, take a step back, take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at. Take a step back. No more tomorrows, no more today got away from it. Come on, bring it on home. 1, 2, 3, take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at. Take a step back. You know it. Take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at. Take a step back. Take a step back, take a step back, take a step back, take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at. Take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at. Take a step back. Everybody stop. Yes, sir. Take a step back.
Thank you, Gary.
Very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to that. Welcome to the Weekend Spread. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, as always, we got Jamison, we got Ty. We're here to make some picks. So before we do that, let's kind of talk about where we ended up last week. I got right back into my old ways with 4-4. But Jamison crawled on back after a rough week, 6-2, back in the race. How do you feel, buddy?
I feel like it hurts still because I made 2 very unintelligent picks out of those last 8 games, and I knew it. And I tried to squeeze out of that Michigan pick. I knew it was so bad. I knew it was horrible. But you know what? Oh well, 6-2. I got to be happy with what I got. I got some backdoor covers. It was a pretty good week.
Yeah, hey, can't complain. Ty, How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I'm
Go on, Tom.
feeling rough. Texas Tech, what are you gonna do? It's Tech. We had Alan Bowman out there. Once again riding high on Notre Dame. Last time I'm picking them unless I'm forced to, and just some overall good stuff at SMU. I'd say it really pains me because SMU I went with the homer pick. Because I have this whole lifelong SMU fan thing going. So I homer picked SMU, and then I just like overthought. I overthought it, and instead of homer picking Colorado when I should have, and got the win there, I flipped right at the end and went with Stanford, and that was another L for me. But 5-3, good week, continuing to grow that that lead. So love to see it.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get in, just wanted to say about our previous show, Tom, our good friend Tom, I appreciated our weather updates. So screw y'all for making fun of me for that. So
I didn't think it was my weather update. What do you mean?
Yeah, it was your weather update, but you made fun of me for weather. Anyways, good job on the weather, y'all. Let's get right down to it. So we're going to start off with a top 10 matchup that has an interesting line. It's number 9 Indiana at Ohio State. Big noon on Fox. The Buckeyes favored by 20.5 at home. Jamison, is this too big of a spread for the Bucks, or are you comfortable that they can take down number 9 Indiana like that?
Yeah, it's a little dicey, you asked me last week, oh, this is easy, but Indiana, even though they played trash Michigan State last week, they handled their business. They played well. Problem is, Ohio State, they weren't the people that they weren't the COVID problem last week, right? It was it was their opponent. So they're ready to go, and I think they're going to come out big. 20.5, I think they're trying to entice you to get more Ohio State money there. But, Indiana can keep close. I don't feel confident on this one. This isn't something that I'd move forward with, but I'll go Ohio State here just at home, win by 21.
Yeah, I think that's a very respectable pick. It's a lot of points. I'm going to go with Indiana here. I think they're scrappy enough to keep it close, as in spread-wise, they're going to lose, and it'll be decisive for the Bucks. But I think Indiana is, scrappy enough to keep this thing tight. Hopefully everything goes fine with COVID and whatnot. But because if it doesn't, then Indiana's in the driver's seat, and we have a really weird Big Ten ahead of us. But anyways, Ty, who do you got?
All right, so first we gotta do it. It's been keeping me. I forgot to have it on for the previous one. We gotta.
Oh, there we go.
We gotta put on the comically small beret of lucky picks. So let's just get something out of the way first. Ohio State fans, absolutely delusional, think that they're going to win the national championship this year. To win the national championship, actually, looking at you, UCF, you have to go to the playoffs. So to get into the playoffs, Ohio State, led by future Texas coach Ryan Day, is going to have to absolutely blow up the people that they play, especially with the Big Ten imploding. Oh, shout out to Thomas, who I didn't steal that idea from. I'm Urban Meyer's going to Texas.
Urban Meyer, Minister of Culture right there.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I'm going to remove that one.
But yeah, so anyways, long story short, Ohio State, I think is going to win. Naturally, I think everyone can kind of agree on that. But I think that they're going to stay on the gas to get that cover, to get that margin of victory, especially in the top 10 matchup, to really work on their seat in the rankings. Because number 3 is not a great seat. Obviously they're making it as of right now at a number 3. But I think they're really going to stay on the gas, especially with the first playoff committee coming up, and this being their first real challenge. So give me Ohio State minus 20.5.
Yeah,
that's a really good take.
Mm-hmm. Before we move on from that, we definitely got a hammer on that. What we've seen this past couple of weeks is undefeated teams that are, vying for playoffs are trying hard, to go for it at the end. We saw it with Liberty. Like, they just destroyed Western Carolina. They had no regards for anybody. We've seen it with BYU in the past. BYU doesn't care about a single soul. They'll run a fake punt on you at the end of the fourth quarter. They don't care. And Ohio State, they've lost their seat as the number 2, obviously the second best team in the nation right now with Notre Dame. If I'm Ohio State and I'm looking at Notre Dame at number 2, I take that as a strong offense. And I'm very upset about that. And I said, there is no way, shape, or form that team is better than us. So let's go overtake them. So I think, that's Ohio State.
Oh, somebody said 56-14 Ohio.
Yeah, Matt Cook is going with a blowout for the Bucks. We'll see how that goes.
I could see it.
Yeah, I was just adding it. Tom over here says the forbidden fruit tastes good. Okay. All right, moving on to our next game. USC at Utah, 9:30 on ESPN, and I can't do it. I'm sorry, guys.
You put this on the slate. What do you mean?
I can't do it. I don't want to acknowledge the Pac-12.
I'll take lead.
This is silly. No. We're not picking this game.
We're just not even doing it.
This is the Schooner Pod. This is what we do here. We only acknowledge real conferences like the Sun Belt. We're going with Appalachian State at number 15, Coastal Carolina. 11 a.m. on ESPN2. The Chanticleers favored by 5.5. This is
Bobby,
real.
Before you say anything, this is like picking which child is your favorite. Are you sure you want to pick this one?
I think
tough. Jameson will agree. We'll let you sit this one out if you want.
I don't want to. It's tearing me apart, but I have to. I have to choose. I have to do this. Ty, I'll let you go first on this one.
Okay. App State, Coastal Carolina. Not sure if we mentioned that just for the podcast listeners. So we got Coastal minus 5.5 is the line that the Schooner Pod has as of Thursday at 8 when we're recording. No, we got podcast listeners. I'm trying to be professional.
Yeah, for sure.
So the home teams have done really well this year, and it's only a 5.5 line, and Coastal has been very good. So I'm going to have to go with Coastal just because they're at home. They're ranked, but they're a really, really solid team this year, especially against the caliber of team that App State is. And I just love Coastal's like colors way more than yellow and black. It's never really hit with me.
Yeah, I get that. It's always a tough time on
graphic
the field.
Design is my passion. Yeah.
I love how the chicken just has one arm. Just cut off the other arm. It's weird. But man, this is brutal. Because on one hand, I have my first love. I have Yosef. I have the Mountaineers. I rode with them last year. But you know what? If there's anything we've learned over this entire year of picking, it's that you can't hold on to the past. You have to move on. You have to do what works. And that is why I so sadly have to pick my Teal Chickens, my Chanticleers, to cover this 5-point spread against App State. I think App State's a very good team. This is a really tough pick just in general because, Appalachian State, easily the toughest team. Coastal will have to play the rest of this year. Might have a rematch in the Sun Belt Championship. We don't know yet. But Coastal at home, they've been rolling. 5.5 points is just a little too low for me. So give me the Chanticleers here. It really hurts my heart, Yosef. It's nothing personal. You're still my team. I have a shirt for you. But you know what? I gotta win. We gotta make. I'm way too close to passing Blake to pick the heart over my head. So Teal Chickens. I regretfully have to roll with you here. But Jamison, your pick for App State at Coastal.
This is tough. I really like Grayson Call, the quarterback of Coastal. I feel like the games I've watched of them, which has actually been way more than I ever thought would. Like he's got confidence and he plays really well. I don't know if I can pick him. I think I'm going to go App State. The thing is, even though App State is 1-6 against the spread this year, and Coastal is 5-1-1 against the spread this year, I just think Appalachian State, they're more suited to play those big games because they've been there for longer. And versus a freshman quarterback, I think that could be a problem. I don't know really too much to really go into a lot of depth of it. I'm just kind of going with my gut here that Appalachian State keeps it close. But I think Coastal Carolina wins, but make it a close game.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. There's always a game where a team who's really hot in the Sun Belt or the MAC or whatever, there's always a trip up game. And App State, as we know, Yosef, they can definitely do that. Moving on to go ahead. Sorry, Ty.
Oh no, I was just gonna say while you're transitioning, just to remind listeners, because Jamison hit on Coastal being 5-1-1 against the spread. Here at the Schooner Pod, we do count pushes as wins. Just to simplify, we do. Don't we count pushes as wins?
I didn't know where you. Yeah, we do, but I don't know where you're going with this because the spread's 5.5.
No, but I'm just clarifying for the listeners. If we have any listeners or
for sure.
For the Schooner Pod standard, that would be 6-1. So just to simplify things. But if we have any new listeners or watchers or anything, just to double hit that.
Absolutely. And hey, thanks for sticking with us.
5.5 is not going to be a push.
Yeah, that's why I was confused. But anyways, hey, thanks for listening through the App State Coastal prediction. Moving on back to the Big Ten, we have another top 25 game. Number 10, Wisconsin at number 19, Northwestern. It's a 2:30 kickoff on ABC, and Wisconsin only favored by 7.5. It appears Vegas has not been impressed by Wisconsin's absolute thumpings to start the season. Jamison, what is up with this line? Are you worried here? Do you think Northwestern has something to them?
Northwestern's been sneaky good this year is the thing. They've just solidly won. Have they lost a game? I think they're undefeated, right?
No, they're undefeated.
They've just been sneaky good. Problem is, even though Michigan is not good at all, Wisconsin had their way with them. The game was not even close when it came down. If you look at the drives, Wisconsin just controlled it. There was no swing. There was no lick of nervousness in Wisconsin. That shows a really good team. Give me Wisconsin 7.5 here.
Yeah, I get that. Look, Northwestern, very solid team, but when you really peel back that exterior, look at what they built their wins on. So first off, 43-3 win against Maryland. Okay, that's fine. But then you look at a 1-point win over a pathetically bad Iowa team.
Oh, come on.
What the Iowa's horrible. Okay, they've actually turned it around a little bit. I think.
Yeah, they've been doing really well.
They turned it around, but they started bad. They started bad.
They started with a 4-point loss to Purdue. Okay, that happens. But then they came out and beat Michigan State by 42, and then they beat Minnesota by 28.
Okay, fine. I apparently have not been keeping up on Iowa. Now all these Iowa fans who have been waiting to be mentioned on the podcast for 3 years they're like, oh wait, Iowa. They were going to talk about Iowa. Oh, and now I have a bunch of corn in my mentions.
Just every single time he sees Iowa, doesn't even have to see State afterwards. Just hatred is just flying towards them. They're not good. They don't deserve anything they've done. I don't care if they beat Michigan State by 42. They don't deserve it.
Remove the state of Iowa from the union.
No.
But I'll move on to the next one. So Northwestern also beat Nebraska by 7, even though Nebraska is a better corn producing state than Iowa. Not a great football team.
Number one producer of superior corn.
Nebraska is a
producer of inferior corn.
As we know, Nebraska is king of both corn and soybean. Way better than those garbage Iowa folk. But the football team's still bad. And then they beat Purdue by 7. While Purdue is good and has a horrifying mascot, I don't care. That's bad. He wasn't even there. Purdue Pete wasn't even there to just stare you down into death. So Wisconsin here, I feel really good about the Badgers. Graham Mertz is on a roll. Northwestern, hey, you're good. You're fine. I don't know if it'll be a blowout like we've seen the past couple weeks, but they're definitely going to cover 7.5. So give me the Badgers here.
All right. So here's what I'm thinking here. So I know both of you guys kind of touched on this. Northwestern blew out Maryland by 40 points, but they beat Iowa by 1 point. They beat Nebraska by 8 points, and they beat Purdue by 7. Wisconsin, on the other hand, has only played 2 games. They've had their Nebraska and their Purdue game canceled. So there go our potential common opponents. But Wisconsin beat Illinois 45-7, and they absolutely thumped Michigan. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jamison. But here's the thing. You guys forget this. Wisconsin does this every year. They start out really strong. They're blowing people out till about halfway through the season. And then they have this thing where they just drop like 2 games and they absolutely go to, can we say shit because we're on Facebook? They go to shit. They do this halfway through the season thing. I know they've only played 2 games, but they've had 2 canceled. They're 4 games into an 8-game season. This is the one where they drop. They just straight up lose. All that being said, do I think Wisconsin will straight up lose? Yes. But give me Wisconsin minus 7.5. That's absolutely the smart thing to do.
Oh, you're gonna hurt yourself. You're just talking about how whenever you picked against Colorado last week, where you gave the whole story of why I should pick Colorado and then go against him at the end.
I don't care about this one though. I'm not attached to this one at all. I like Wisconsin's. Wisconsin is my favorite of the 2 schools, but I legitimately think that they will win and cover. But if they just straight up lose, I won't be surprised because everyone remembers Clemsoning. It's kind of dropped off because, I guess that's more a 1-game thing. But Wisconsin always starts out hot and then drops exactly halfway through the season. We're at that halfway point. I would not be surprised if Wisconsin loses by 28 for no reason. It would be on brand, but give me Wisconsin.
Hey, fair enough. Usually they fall apart immediately after like playing Ohio State or something.
Bobby, throw up the fan comments.
Oh yeah, no, I saw it. Our good friend Tom bringing up weather. I don't know. It'll be a windy game, as we know. With the Great Lakes right there. Playing right off the banks in Chicago. But hey, we'll see. We'll see. Badgers will be prepared for it. They're prepared for any weather. Moving on to our Big 12 games, we got the best rivalry in the Big 12. Texas at Kansas. The 22 ranked Longhorns travel to Lawrence, 2:30 game on ESPN2. So you will be able to watch that right after watching Coastal Yosef. Texas favored by 29.5. Ty, we know Kansas doesn't do much at all. They've been horrible this season, but is this line too much?
First off, let me tell you, is 2020. Anything is possible. The home teams have done really good. I think I say this every week, and I said it on the last one. Personally, I would not be shocked if Kansas just straight up won somehow. It would be probably the funniest thing that could happen ever. But that being said, I don't think 29.5 is too much at all. I think that Texas fans, shout out to Chris, hopefully he's watching live, probably potentially think that they can still make the Big 12 championship. I'm sure there is some statistical chance that they can. But I think that Texas is going to come out and just stay on the gas. And I hope they do, because if Texas loses here, Tom Herman he's got to be done. And then obviously we're going to see Urban Meyer in Austin, and nobody wants to see that if you're an OU fan. Jamison's right. We want to keep Tom Herman as the Gus Malzahn of the Big 12, where you're just doing just enough not to get fired every year. You're just minimum, like he's like Office Space level, like just so you don't get fired. But I would expect that Texas really comes out here and just embarrasses. I mean, the only thing that Kansas had going for them has opted out of the season for personal reasons. Apparently, the only thing that had going for him defensively is opted out for personal reasons. OU blew him out, and Lincoln Riley has a heart. Tom Herman is probably going to be hammered on like Taka vodka, probably Stoli, and G2, and he's not going to care at all. And Sam Ehlinger is just going to go full, I can't say this word because we're going live.
You can never say this word on this podcast.
That's true. I can't.
He's going to have his hemorrhoids will be flaring up.
Anyways, I don't say that word at all. But Texas, give me Texas. I'm just going to cut myself off here.
You're good.
Texas, minus 29.5. I think they'll win by 35.
Yeah, okay, I'll just...
Horns up. Hook 'em.
Oh, boy. Okay, look, let me put it this way. I really want to pick Kansas here, but I can't. I saw them in person. They are
Jameson's got that look.
astonishingly bad.
Oh, he's got that look.
Jamison can't wait to do it. Or look, he's not gonna pick the Jayhawks, but he's gonna fake us out at least. So either way, I'm excited for what he does. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Texas is gonna win big here. Honestly, Kansas so bad. The only thing I've been wondering about that is how Coastal Carolina didn't beat them by more at this point, honestly. But the wheels are coming off in Lawrence. The Les Miles experiment, absolute disaster. It's so bad that even Texas is going to have a field day on them. So give me Texas. Jamison, the floor is yours, buddy.
Yeah, Texas really needs to win this game. Ty, I really do think that they think they have a chance to make the championship, the Big 12 championship. And they definitely do have a path there.
Yeah,
and it's definitely doable. And the thing is with this is, there's one side of me is like pick Kansas, and then the other side of me is throw the horns up on Bobby. I want to get Bobby mad, so horns up. Let's go, Texas.
I thought you had a better thing planned. I'm a little disappointed. I thought you were going to really bring the heat there.
Well, whenever you see it coming, it's not fun. What do you want me to do?
Fair. That's on me.
The look on your face, like you were gonna, the old you was gonna come back. Like I was getting the Bugs Bunny, forgive me for the old meme ready for the Instagram. If you were going to pick up, yeah,
I can't do it. I can't go back to Kansas anymore. I already went through rehab. I went through rehab. I'm fine. I'm clean.
He is a reformed Kansas picker. He won't do it anymore. Let's move on to a crucial game in the Big 12 race and just a solid game in general. We got Farmageddon. It's K-State at Iowa State. The 17th ranked Cyclones are, hoping to continue their lead in the Big 12 race. 3 p.m. on Fox. Clones favored by 11 here. Jamison, Kansas State is known to be a pretty big spoiler here. Last time we saw Iowa State, almost looked like they're going to lose it to Baylor. Do you think the Wildcats sneak up on Cyclones here?
Yeah, this is a big game, another big game for Big 12 championship. These are the two teams that OU's kind of fighting for with the spot for, other than Oklahoma State, but these are the teams we lost to. So we kind of need them to lose for us to get in. K-State losing OSU last week and kept keeping it close. I feel like some people might think that they have some legitimacy to them. I just can't buy in on K-State. Iowa State, even though they have the most overrated quarterback in all of the country, they've got Breece Hall, who's getting top 3, top 2 Heisman stuff right now, which is just crazy to think of. I really like Iowa State minus 11 here.
Yeah, hey, I think that's fair. Iowa State's good. They're great names. They're on a mission here. And I really want to pick K-State. But you know what? That quarterback just isn't – he's just not it. I like Deuce Vaughn. If this is Skylar Thompson, yes, K-State covers, maybe gets a win. But Iowa State's just too good here. They're going to get the dub and the cover. So give me the Cyclones. But I don't know. It's going to be a weird one. Ty, what do you think?
Yeah, this is the battle for the best team in Oklahoma. Give me Iowa State here. I think easy.
Hey, did you get the vibe that Bobby was going to pick K-State until he heard me pick Iowa State and then flipped?
No. It was,
I get a little vibe.
I don't know. Bobby's never been super high on K-State. I really think that Iowa State is a smart
I feel like Bobby had a time where he was like drooling over K-State.
That was like 2018, brother. It was
not this year. It's definitely not this year. Yeah.
It's a different time period. Yeah, not this year. Not this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Against OU, give me K-State all day, apparently. But
yeah, not now. But anyways, let's move on to the game. That's right. It's Bedlam, folks. We have Oklahoma State coming to Oklahoma, ranked ahead of the Sooners for only the 6th time in series history. This is prime time, 6:30, ABC. You got Kirk. You got Chris Fowler. You got the big stage right here for the first time in a while in Norman. Sooners favored by 7 here. And absolutely a must-win for both teams in their pursuit of the Big 12 championship. A loss here would be absolutely debilitating for obviously OU's out if they do it. Oklahoma State, that road becomes nearly impossible. So a lot on the line here. Ty, do you think the Sooners get the win and the cover?
All right, so big responsibility here. Going first on Bedlam. Just to just some back history on Bedlam. Obviously, Oklahoma State has only won 18 times. We don't count pushes as wins when it comes to actual game results. It's rough that OU is at the point where we have to consider Oklahoma State to maybe sort of be a rival, just because we lost our other rivals, Nebraska, Missouri, Colorado, all were bigger rivals than Oklahoma State. Texas A&M, obviously, way bigger rivalry than Oklahoma State. But I like the line. I like the line. -7, I think, is really good because this one has a super high potential to be decided by a touchdown in overtime. I think more than any OU game this season. I think it really could go to overtime. But anyways, we've had a whole podcast on that. Go tune into that. I gotta go with Homer pick. I can't pick against OU here. I gotta go with OU -7. I legitimately believe that OU is gonna win, probably by 10 would be my guess. But I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be a good game. The game day curse could affect OU for sure. If you believe in that, it is a thing for OU for sure. But we have a really, really good record when we're on game day as a whole. And yeah, I got to go OU -7 here. But if we don't cover, that's fine. I know my picks are better than the other guys anyways for this week. I just want to OU win.
Fair enough. And I'll say this, anything about a game day curse, throw it out the window with Bedlam, because the Sooners are 6-0 against the Cowboys when Bedlam, or when game day is in town in Bedlam. But this isn't about curses. This isn't about schemes or ghouls or demons of the past, or how much OU has beaten the Pokes in the past previous years. This is about a team that has learned and improved since the last time they've played really good football. They've been through it. They've won that hard-fought game against Texas. They've improved against bad teams on the road, and then Kansas, which is just a scrimmage. And I think this OU team is going to show out and really going to show the nation that they're really one of the best teams when they're in the country. They're one of the best teams in the country when they are clicking, and where they are now, I think they really are top 10, top fringe top 5 type of team. I know that's crazy. I know that's a hot take. Not going to make it to the playoff, of course, because only 2 losses that discounts you. But I think what we have right now is a team that is growing, getting better, and they are not going to let this stage go to waste, especially off of a bye week. I think the Sooners are going to win a very solid game. It's going to be a rowdy atmosphere. Defense is going to be clicking. Offense is going to be clicking. Give me the Sooners to show up in a very, very big moment here. So give me Oklahoma -7. Jamison, was I too confident there?
No, I think that this game has a lot of different ways to go. But if you're looking at momentum, it's OU's side. This game opened up at 9.5 and then just shifted all the way to 5.5, and now it's at 7. And it's only early in the week. It's crazy what's going around. Oklahoma State's offensive line is the only reason I'm going to pick OU here. If Oklahoma State had just a little bit of a better offensive line, I think this could be a really, really close game and really entertaining. But like I said during the preview podcast, I think our defensive line can eat them alive if we could. And I think we're going to be a big problem for them out there. And if we disrupt them and put them off their game at the beginning of the game, things could get ugly. I don't think it will, but I think that this game will be more comfortable than past Bedlams have been. So give me OU -7.
And more than anything, Oklahoma State this season has barely played any meaningful football away from Stillwater. They've had, I believe, their only road game has been Kansas State, I want to say, or Kansas State and Kansas. So K-State, solid team, but they kind of struggled in that win. Took a lot to get out of that one. This is not Kansas State. This is not Kansas. The stress will be on. And if OU can get to Spencer Sanders early and often, create some turnovers, create chaos, and then the offense does what it needs to do, things really have the chance to snowball on the Pokes. So give me the team with the moment. Like you said, give me the team with momentum. Give me the team who flat out can cause havoc and is frankly more confident right now. So that's all we have to say about Bedlam. But let's move on to my favorite pick of the week. It's the wild card pick. I always go first for wild card. I always go first for wild card. I really need to get a video clip here, the Always Sunny one going. So I can't believe it took me that long to figure that out. Anyways, so I'm going to start off as is tradition here. So let's talk about a really good ACC team. One that not a lot of people think about because they're not even really an ACC team. That's right. The Liberty Flames. They are 2-0 in their ACC games. Crushed Syracuse, which, let's be real, that's not a huge, great feat. But, hey, you're Liberty. Give them credit. And then they turn around, beat Virginia Tech in the most unlikely of circumstances on a game-winning field goal immediately after a nullified field goal block for a touchdown. They're traveling to NC State. They're tree-fitty dogs. Look, NC State, not a great team. Haven't been impressed with them this year. And let's be real. Liberty is just out here catching bodies in the ACC, taking folks out. So give me the Liberty Flames to get yet another cover. Liberty minus tree-fitty. That's it. That's the pick. Jamison, you got any good picks over there?
Yeah, so last week I let Ashley just pick a random college off the top of her head without even looking at the slate, and she picked Oregon and they won. And I had a good week last week. So let's screw it. Let's try it again. Let's see what she's got this week. But once again, I always say that if I go back to something that works, I always get screwed the next week. So we'll see if this moves forward, and this could be something different. She first said Utah, and I said no. And then we moved on to this. No. And I said, no, I'm not picking Utah. Because that was originally on our slate. So that's why I said no, but at the same time, I didn't want to. She next one was also a miserable pick. And I just said, I have to stick with it. I can't say no twice because I feel like I'm going to get burned. She said Tennessee. Tennessee is a 10.5-point underdog going to Auburn this weekend, which is so ugly. You got Auburn, who you don't know what's going on. You got Tennessee, you don't know what's going on. You have a 10.5-point line. Tennessee, 10.5.
This is the definition of trusting the process, right?
Are you
here.
actually picking this one?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, I got to say, we have a guy who literally picks games by rolling a dice. This isn't that crazy. Okay. Wow. Okay. Oh, actually, no, this is crazier. But hey, you got to trust the process. I believe the stat was you were 2-4 or something like that when Ashley picks, but significantly worse when you go on your own. So, anyways, Ty, have you found your wild card yet?
Yes, I have. So I got to do a preamble here. Unfortunately, this week, probably the most Ty meta game when it comes to wild card picks was postponed. That was Arizona State, Colorado. As we know, I've been lifelong fans of both of those teams since at least 2015. Arizona State actually much later, since at least spring of this year. I've been a lifelong fan of Arizona State. But that one was postponed because obviously Arizona State, they're dealing with some COVID stuff, and that's understandable. That's the realities of life in 2020. This is their second week of dealing with stuff. So they had one canceled last week, and that's a big flaw, in the Pac-12 and in the Big Ten, as well as the way that they've scheduled these seasons with no sort of room. So I started to go through and, progress through. I like to go really meta with the wild cards. I looked at Mississippi State because, as you guys know, I lived in Mississippi for a while. I've been to a lot of Mississippi State games. And we got Mike Leach there, which is awesome to pick against them in every game but LSU. But I can't pick Mississippi State. They're playing Georgia this week, and that one's just rat poison. But I have found my wild card, and boy, is it just deep in there. And this one I think might be actually a good gambling pick. And I'm talking about Georgia Southern versus Army. Both teams 6-2. The line, according to ESPN right now on Tuesday at 9:00, is Army -4. That's an interesting line because, and I'm going to walk you guys through this. Georgia Southern, okay, 6-2. They have won all of their games by less than a touchdown, besides Massachusetts, which they won 41-0. And then obviously the ones that they lost. But they have not been great in competitive games when it comes to winning big or coming close to the spread. Army, on the other hand, we all know is a run-heavy team that has not changed. Let me just read you their margins of victory this season. MTSU, I don't even know what state that is, 42-0. Louisiana Monroe, 37-7. BYU postponed, lucky for them. Keep in mind, this Army team absolutely would have beat OU week 2. Cincinnati, they lost, but 24-10 against a very legitimate Cincinnati team, I might add. ACU, 55-23, they won. The Citadel, who did play Bama close at some point.
Okay,
anyway, it was 40. It was 14-9. Okay, that was bad. Okay, anyways, I'm not going to read the rest.
What happened last week? What happened last week?
28-16, not great. More than 4. 49-3 against Mercer. Shout out to Mercer, living it up. Blue Line Rentals, if you guys need to rent something. I didn't know he also owned a football team.
No free ads.
Not very good. Apparently, no free ads, but they're apparently not very good. But I really think, because I'm a big time of possession fan this season, that's my thing I'm obsessed with this week. Army is a time of possession team. I just went on a super long rant that took us nowhere. Give me Army -4. I think that they are still a legitimate team. And I think that -4 they can absolutely do because they don't kick field goals. They just run the ball.
Okay. There you go. Time of possession tie. At it again. But yeah, that's all we have for this week. Guys, I gotta say, another good week in the books. I think this is really gonna be a tough one. I don't know. I think these wild cards, we got some good ones. We got some good tips out there. But before we leave, I just want to pick a quick one just for the circumstance where one of these games gets canceled because COVID is, as we know, ramping up. So let's just go back to the well and pick the game I didn't want to pick in the first place. Utah and USC. USC heading to Salt Lake, 9:30, so it's Pac-12 after dark, ESPN. USC favored by 3. Ty just talked for a long time, so Jamison, you kick us off on this one. Are you going to follow Ashley and pick this game for the Utes or not?
Ugh, why? I was not prepared for this to make this hard decision. I think USC would do it, but screw it. Let's just go Utah.
Hey,
Utah +3.
Look, get excited about this because USC is an absolute outright fraud. I'm going to clip this out and send it in the group text because someone needs to hear it. USC is a fraud. 2 straight weeks, 2 straight tight wins against not great Arizona teams in Arizona State and Arizona. Like I said, the only Arizona teams, but you get the point. Utah at home. Some spooky stuff going on with Pac-12 after dark. The Utes are a practical lock here in my book. In fact, as Tom would say, or as I would say, and Tom would regurgitate back to me because it's hilarious, lock of the century of the week, Utah +3. So I don't hope a game gets canceled, but if it did, I feel very good about Utah. Ty, are you going to go with USC here or Utah?
Right. So yeah, let me just level with you guys. This entire podcast is is it's about picking the spread, which is about betting on sports if you choose to do so. This game, absolute rat poison. Do not bet this. Especially don't listen to anything that I say about this game. So I'm going to hold my line because I don't want Bobby to cut me off. If you're going to bet, what you need to do is take your money. Ignore this game completely because it's boring and it's not going to be fun to watch anyways. Okay? Go on some sort of pirating league on Saturday, and at 1:30 p.m. someone's Central Time, 1:30 p.m. Central Time, that's our time, you can watch my favorite football club in the world, FC Basel in Switzerland, best team in Switzerland, playing BSC Young Boys, the second best team in Switzerland. No, this is like this Super Bowl of soccer or football in Switzerland. This is the biggest rivalry that they have. These are the two best teams.
Do they speak Spanish in Switzerland? Why would they call it football?
Because everyone calls that. Okay, we're going to go off on a tangent here for a second. Soccer, commonly known as an American term because we're the only ones that called it that. The English invented the term. The British made that up. We adopted it too, and then they ditched it, and we're like, stupid Americans, why do you call it that? Everyone else calls it that. Switzerland has 4 official languages. Romansk, which is a derivative of Latin.
Okay, who are you going to go with? The Young Boy? Are you going with the Young Boys?
Basel, favored by 1 point. If we're going to go with the Schooner Pod idea that pushes our wins, it's soccer. You're literally just picking who wins. Basel's favored by 1 point. You're just picking it outright. Give me Basel. And then also US minus 3.
This isn't a Schooner Pod pick. This is a legitimate gambling pick. You cannot put our push rules upon them.
When did the filibuster become a thing in the Schooner Pod? I don't like
this. You also don't lose.
Also, I have a mute button and I need to use it. I just muted him.
I'll say this. I think this is hilarious because this is supposed to be a pick that if something gets canceled, we put in there, and we just had a 5-minute what felt like soccer conversation about Switzerland.
And especially about a team called AFC Young Boys.
He just left. We don't have Ty here. We don't even know what he's going to pick. USC, Utah. This is what I say.
He picked USC.
He picked USC? Damn.
He just threw it in at the end there.
I say we just make him pick the soccer game and just move on with that.
Yeah, no. AFC Young Boys is his new that's the new wild card for Ty. So, yeah. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for Yeah, I know. We know you're back.
We get my jersey, but I don't know where it is.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, thank you all so much for listening. I hope you really enjoyed our takes on all of our picks and also that Switzerland football or soccer pick. I don't know. It's been a long time.
Podcast. I picked a football game.
Okay, fine. All right. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening, whether it be live or on your podcast stream. We always love having y'all listen. So we're going to keep putting out this content. It's always going to be good stuff, even when we go on Swiss football tangents. But anyways, that's all I got to say. I'm sure Jamison and Ty have both talked plenty, but we'll see you next week. And if you like listening to us live, chirping us in the comments, listen to us live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. You know where to find us: Periscope, Facebook, basically everywhere you get streams. So, anyways, for me, Jamison, Ty, and Bowden Blake, if he's clipped in here, this has been the Weekend Spread presented by the Schooner Pod. Thanks for listening and happy picking. Also, go AFC Young Boys.